Go. We are live. All right, today I'm going to share a story. Yesterday, I talked about the story about how I started the business, and when Maggie and I moved to Columbia and then Hattiesburg, and then bought the business in Columbia, and then the big job that almost ruined our business. And today I'm going to tell you about a story where it's kind of part of the last story that I told about the decals, but how we kind of got the job, negotiated the job, and then what happened as a result after we finally picked up the pieces and moved on. It was probably about 11 years ago that I was in our house in Columbia. So I'd moved to Columbia, and about 11 years ago, I got the opportunity to work for this company that I did 3 years ago. It was the first time I'd ever got to work for them on a job, and they needed some magnets to make a paint mask on a metal container. So they were going to take this paint mask, they were going to take these magnets, and we were cut a huge stencil. It was probably 4x8. I mean, it was a huge magnet. We had to piece it together, tape it all together. And I told them when we got started, I'm like, this is probably not going to work. And if it doesn't work, I don't want you to blame me, because this is probably not going to work. It's not a good idea to do this, to make this magnet mask this way. Probably a good idea in theory, but not a good idea in execution. So I hadn't bought the business yet. We were working out of my garage in Columbia, and I remember we printed the decals, cut them, and put them on the magnets, and then hand cut every letter to make this mask. And there was pieces that were this close, and we gave them the magnet, and it fell apart. And they were upset. They were not happy with the product and the quality. So, and it was years before they'd ever used me again. So I always felt like that was a job that they never. That was the reason why I didn't get to work for them or others, because of that mishap. And so I remember just feeling, with this, when I was in the house, would this ever be a legit business? Could I ever turn what we're doing here, making magnets in my garage, into a real business? And I was probably in business already for about 7 years or so, or I'd had this business. Can we make this a legit business? I was working for someone else at the time. I was still working for Munn Enterprises, making signs for them. And then at night I would come home and make decals and magnets. And so I was working 2-3 jobs really. And I just never could. I just wanted freedom. Like, that was my idea of what a business is freedom. And I did not feel free working for someone else and then coming home and doing my business, working all hours of the day and night. It was not very fun. So nights and weekends. So we made these magnets, and we told them that they wouldn't work, and they just kept on about wanting the magnets, and they didn't work. And I just felt like they didn't want to work with me anymore. And so a friend of mine at that time I was worried about the price too. Like, I was worried about giving them a price, because they're going to pay a substantial amount of money for a product that's not going to work. And I remember a friend of mine telling me, if you provide a good service and quality products in a very timely manner, then people don't care how much it costs. And so at that time I was like, you know what? That's what we are providing, exactly what the customers want. But it just never really felt good. Even though I was delivering the product that they asked me for, it just never really felt like what I was able to deliver worked for them, and that just never did set well with me. So after that job was over, that was the start of me not doing some things that I knew were not going to work. So if I knew a product wasn't going to work, I would not offer that product to a customer. I remember another job where Gentleman wanted some decals. I gave him a quote on some decals, and he wanted them cheaper. So the only other alternative was to do a cheaper product. And so I told him it wouldn't last as long. Well, then I go back 6 months later, the decals are peeling off, and he didn't care, but I cared because I was thinking, if somebody comes up and asks, hey, who did that for you? And he says, oh, Nick did that. And they're like, oh, how long ago did he do that? Oh, 6 months ago. They're not going to know how much he paid for that. All they're going to know is that crappy decal is coming off. And I definitely don't want to work with that guy. And so you'd think after these two very specific events, I would learn that lesson, and I didn't. So fast forward about five years, and I'm at the negotiating table with this huge project, the hugest project I've ever had the opportunity to do at that time. And I know by this time that the best people love to compare things among themselves. And so I always try to provide two options. So option A and option B. Usually option B being better, option A being not as good. But at least they have something to compare, because I want them to compare me to me, not me to someone else. And so I'm giving them these options, right? There's a huge, beautiful presentation, beautiful proposal, right? It's nice. It looks awesome. And I was very, very proud of this proposal, by the way. And so I give this proposal, give them the prices, and then 2 weeks of silence. Like, oh man, this is just not, edge of my seat. This project represents, 6 months of work in revenue in 6 weeks of actual work. And so I'm looking at this project. I'm like, so I go back to the drawing board, and I'll do some more research, and I find different material that my supplier tells me that will work. Oh, this will work. This is great. It'll save, X percent of money. And so I translate those savings to the customer, and I give them a new option. Hey, here's another option. This would work. I've never used it before, but this would work. Here's the price. It's basically fits right into what I think you want. And they're like, let's do it, and let's go, and let's move. And so that's when we did the job, and it failed, and it was horrible. And then I remember, when I got to that moment, and I decided to just go after it and do the job. And when I just sucked it up and did the right thing and plowed through and moved and did the job, there was a moment that I had to believe in myself. There was a moment that I had to realize and recognize that the only person that can fix my mistake is me. And it really, after that job, we finished the job, and the guy one of the guys that I'd hired working on that job had an opportunity to go do a even bigger job. And it was like 10 times as big as it was 20 times as big as the job that we had just got finished with. I'm like, this is awesome. This is crazy. So after we picked up the pieces, the money that I lost or didn't get to make actually on this project, still made some money, but not as much as I'd originally planned. We got to go even do a bigger job, and that's a whole different story, because that was a disaster on their side. So this was a disaster on my side. We fixed it. We did a job for a trucking company called XPO, and they did the changeover, and that was a disaster on their side. But it really came down to belief. It really came down to believing in myself and believing in the work that we do and the quality work that we do, and owning up to that, and realizing and recognizing that we are, and I tell our team all the time, we are the experts, and people expect us to know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and live by the fact that we believe in ourselves and that we can do this, and the products and services that we offer work, and they just have a cost to them. So that's the principle for today. Just believe in yourself. And it's another principle in that book I mentioned yesterday, was The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. I recommend that you go get that book. It's awesome. It changed my life. I still apply those principles in my life today. So something that I'm fixing to start, which I mean, I'm kind of doing it right now, but it's going to be really cool when we get it started. It's not launched yet. It's going to be called Business Unboxed, where we take pieces and segments of our business over the last 17 years and unbox those things. And every day it'll be kind of like I won't know what's in the box. So our staff and my wife will put things in this box, and then I'll take something out of the box and I'll get to tell a story about that thing and how it has shaped and changed and molded and our business, and get to share that with you. So I'm super crazy excited about that, to be able to unbox our business with you. So tune in tomorrow around 10 o'clock. I go live around 10ish every day and just start telling stories, getting all these things ready until we actually start unboxing my business. See you tomorrow.